Welcome to Way to Grow. I'm Laura Ravey. With me is Dwayne Friesen from Lacoste, and we're talking about fall bulbs and planting. Now, last week on the show, we were explaining how you can do a lot of your planting in the fall, and it's actually beneficial. But before we get to that, Dwayne, you've got something to say.
Yeah, this is kind of a special announcement that will interrupt our previously thought about program and bring you up to date just with the timing of our program. You can't get to it in time, but just a reminder for those people who are dealing with cankerworms and those issues with the worms in the spring, defoliating your trees. Now is the time of year to get your Tanglefoot on when you're putting your wrap around your trees. We've demonstrated this before in the past, but I just want to remind viewers out there that now is the time to get that done. But now we're going on to fall bulbs, and we're going to be talking about that. And planting fall bulbs, we're talking about tulips, we're talking about daffodils and crocuses, those type of things. And we're talking planting them now for spring beauty. So we're kind of looking ahead at this point to what we're going to be doing in spring. And these are what your classic tulip will look like. It makes a difference on the quality of the bulbs, what kind of show you're going to be getting next year. So what you'll notice immediately is the size of the tulip bulb. It's going to be much, much larger, and the larger bulbs will give you stronger stems, they'll give you bigger flowers, they'll give you a brighter show, and they're going to perform for you better over the years. So there are different qualities of bulbs you can get, and with a tulip, the size of the bulb will make a difference.
Okay.
So keep that in mind when you're getting them. So these are great bulbs here. Now remember, pointy side up.
Okay.
And the other thing that bulbs will want is a nice sunny location and a warm location. And we're going to be planting some just behind us here. We're in morning sun now, but by 11 o'clock it'll be nice and bright and sunny here, so that'll be a nice place for these tulips to go. With the sun shining on them, will warm up the soil and bring up the tulips earlier. So they're going to be the first thing that you're going to see growing in the spring, and your first flowers to be flowering in your yard. So that's where you get that nice warm location on them. And we're close to the house, but we're not tucked right in. So what will happen here is that we will avoid having those situations where people will call in and say, my tulips are already up and it's beginning of April and it's really cold out still. What happens? Well, the plants may not die back because they're growing when it's so cold, but the flowers can freeze out. We've got them pulled away from the house here so that we'll avoid that really spring growth on them, so that they'll come up timed a little bit better. There's a couple other things here I just want to highlight as well. It said that you can plant tulips and daffodils. Grape hyacinth is one that you can plant as well for now, and they give you a small 6 to 8 inch plant with the flowers on it. Okay. Crocuses are great to put around, the giant crocuses that you can have. They're great for naturalizing in areas, and you can just throw them in the ground and just leave them. The other one here I have is Scilla. Just a great, it reminds me a little bit like a lobelia, the annual plant lobelia. Flowers like that, looks great. Again, deer don't like it.
How does that work? How does the deer... Sorry,
they're just, the flavors on them are just not going to be something that they want to eat.
Okay.
So they'll leave them alone on that. Now the last one that I want to illustrate here before we get to the planting is the allium.
Wow.
And this is basically an onion. And
okay.
These give you the big balls of flower in beginning late June into July. And you plant them now. They're only available now to plant for flowering for next year. But now back to our planting here. We've got a little bit of method here how we can use for planting tulips. And it's a little tray that you can put into the ground. And this can be for a few different purposes. But basically, you know where your tulips are. You'll be able to lift this whole tray out of the ground in spring after they're done flowering if you want to plant over top, so it enables you to have that mobility. Take the bulbs out after the leaves have finished their feeding and they start dying back. You can cut them back, lift the whole thing out and put the bulbs into storage till fall again. So it gives you that ability. Now planting density, I've got about 10-12 bulbs in an area about the size of a dinner plate. And with that bone meal, we'd be sprinkling some bone meal in the bottom of the hole. So that when the roots grow, and the roots will grow out from that point over here, when the roots grow, they're going to come into contact with the bone meal. When it comes into contact with the bone meal, the roots branch out at that point. So that's where you encourage that good rooting on it. Okay. So we'll get this into the hole here. We'll just leave out the bone meal now for demonstration purposes. Okay. We'll just get into the bottom here. Already dug the hole and putting it in here. And again, like I said, you want to put a little bit of soil in there so that it can keep them standing up. And with tulips, it's nice to do them a little bit thicker. I often see them planted too thin so you don't get the really nice show. Remember, these are just going to be a single stem coming up, so that you want to have a nice show. So if you plant them a bit thicker, you'll get a much better show. It'll really stand out on you and block your colors. Do clusters of red and clusters of yellow and do them together. It'll give you a really good show on that. Got them in the ground, and then it's just a matter of covering up. You'll notice here the soil is really nice soil. It's not a heavy soil at all, so that'll permit good drainage, and tulips don't like areas that's going to remain wet. And just pack it down lightly just so it settles in. You just do a bit of a watering now, and now the ground is nice and warm. Again, how we talked about last week with the benefits of fall planting. The ground is nice and warm. They'll just get rooted now, get settled in, and ready to go for spring.
Awesome. Well, that was a lot of information, but if you missed any of that, where can people go to find out more?
You can come and see us down. If you have any question about the fall bulbs, you can come see us at Lacoste Garden Centre, 2787 St. Mary's Road, or you can visit us on the net, lacostegardencentre.ca.